Everybody, and welcome to a very special video. Long time coming. This is my CubeCon tournament report from the top 8. Spoiler alert. It's in the title. Who cares? That's why you're watching this, right? Anyways, CubeCon is a really special event. It takes place in Madison every year. This is my second year going, and this is my definitely the best I have done. Not close. Um, there is stuff going on Wednesday, but my flight didn't arrive until 11 o'clock on Wednesday, so I definitely wasn't gonna go to the local game store there, Missy Mountain Games, and play. So just went to the hotel room, slept. My first event was the first part of the main event on Thursday, the only part that is on Thursday, which is the prequel draft. In the prequel draft, I drafted the Yidris Graveyard Cube. This is the one cube. Well, this is one of the cubes I had zero preference. I just excluded a few cubes that I wasn't interested in and just let the software put me wherever it wanted to be, and it put me in this Yidris Graveyard Cube. This is called Yidris Graveyard Cube because it has no white cards. It used to be just a graveyard cube, but according to the cube designer, nobody was playing the white cards, so they just all got cut, which is a shame because I think white can do some things with the graveyard, but maybe it's just better this way. I don't know. Anyways, in that cube, I drafted a blue-black deck. I was doing some pretty fun stuff. You can see the deck here on the screen here. And mostly I was reanimating a little bit. I got an Entomb. I was reanimating with Body Double mostly. That was my only reanimation. And then I had Scholar of the Lost Trove, which was casting Cruel Ultimatum. You could also like copy itself with Spitting Image from my graveyard. Murktide Regent, pretty good ways to fill up the graveyard. It was pretty fun. Mostly the deck got carried by all the board wipes. So we have Deluge of Doom, Extinction Event, and Season of Loss here, which were very good. I ended up going 2-1. I lost to a deck that was really abusing the graveyard. Just a green-black recursion. Couldn't keep up with that, and also they had hate to stop my graveyard shenanigans. I feel like I should have valued graveyard hate more. I didn't think it was gonna be like that important, but I would have main deck like any cheap graveyard hate because it would have been very good against all my opponents. Except maybe the red-black sacrifice deck from round 1. But anyway, so this is a prequel event, and they call it that because you get less points, but it still feels necessary because you only get 1 match point for every win in the prequel event, and 0 for losses and draws, of course. So I picked up 2 points with that draft. Also, in this cube, everybody gets an Ash Barrens to start with, which I thought was pretty cool. I was casting cool stuff off Shelldock as well. Like I cast Scroll Tomato off Shelldock. That was really cool. Yeah, I think everybody starting with the Ash Barrens was a cool rule. It's a pretty cool cube. Check it out. I'm gonna put the links to every cube in the description, so you can check out their Cube Cobra links there. The next draft was not part of the main event, just a bar cube. This was the triple sleeved cube, which was like the only triple sleeved cube there, and probably only double sleeved cube at the bar cube event entirely. I played like a low to the ground, blue, black, splash red deck. Tons of mana fixing because there's double fetches, double shocks. Not that many ways to actually win. Win conditions were like Ballista, Croxa, Frog. But it worked out pretty well. Won all my matches except for the person who won the lost to the person who won the draft. Um, the thing about bar cubes is like usually they're unsleeved and you're playing them without playmats, so that's the spirit of the whole thing. You don't care if anyone spills beer on them or whatever. But this was a triple sleeve cube, so it didn't care for a different reason. But we still all played no playmats, and also every match, one of every match was played on beer barrels because we were in the back room of the brewery, and we decided that the finals had to be played on the beer barrels as well, but I did not get there. I lost to a really good red-white aggro deck, and mostly Flage owned me. I didn't really have good answers to Flage, and Flage completely embarrassed Croxa. Anyways, that was the bar cube. So there is stuff going on outside of the main event, just so you know. The next draft that I did was the old border foil. Oh no. This is the 100 Ornithopters cube, and I don't have a picture of my deck unfortunately, but this was my pool. I had 10 Ornithopters. I wish I had more. There's 100 in the cube. The really great thing about my deck is I had Guy's Cradle and Tolarian Academy, which were incredible. And I could draw a lot of cards, but I just didn't have that many win conditions. Definitely wish I had more. The thing about when the only way to win in the cube is Ornithopters, but Ornithopters obviously they need help to win. They don't win on their own. So win conditions are super important. The most resilient one that I had was Gavany Township, which was the best one. The most explosive one was definitely Jeskai Ascendancy. And the most medium one I had was High Alert. But those were the only 3 ways I had to like actually win the game that I played. I have Heirloom Blade, but that didn't make it in. Skull Clamp is actually, unless you have a Sacrifice Engine, it's not really doing anything in this format. Glimpse of Nature was incredible. And yeah, I actually ended up winning this cube and ended up putting 3 tally marks for 3 kills on Ornithopter number 50 and altering it as well. Pretty fun, but kind of, I don't know. Sometimes the games were not that fun. Like the draft was definitely more fun than the games, I think. Just because a lot of times you'd be sitting around and you'd have all these Ornithopters, but you wouldn't have a win condition on both sides sometimes. So it's just kind of like sitting around and playing draw go until a win condition is found and not answered. And there's a lot of answers. So that part was not great, but still a cool cube. Definitely would draft it again. Moving on. So that was my first draft in the main event. There it is, Ornithopter number 50. Every time you deal lethal damage or win a game with an Ornithopter, you put a tally mark on it. Went from 0 to 3 in this draft. So I gave it named it Killing Spree, and then gave it California Cube Champs Top 8 and my initials. Next draft, on the second draft of Friday, there's only 2 drafts each day, except for the prequel day. Unless you make the top 128. Anyways, the next draft was the old border foil cube. This is the only cube from last year that I was okay, that I didn't like put on my exclude list, because it's just so sweet. It's all old border cards, and everything in the cube is foil except for the ABU duels. And it's super fun. I thought that enchantments was open, so I moved into it. Unfortunately, there's a person across the table from me that was forcing enchantments, and then in pack 3 I got a pack with Parallax Wave and Opalescence, which is what I really wanted to do, is combine those to make the combo where your opponent never gets to have creatures anymore. But I didn't get to do that because I had to take the Parallax Wave because it's the better card. And then I thought the Opalescence would wheel, but it didn't. the other enchantment player that was forcing it took it. But we played Bant, splashing a little bit of black for Malice. And in this cube, I ended up going 2-1. And this deck doesn't look like it would be that good at winning. We got some combos. We got Oromancer, Parallax Wave to keep the wave going. But the best combo that won me like almost every game was with Parallax Tide. I was exiling 5 of my opponent's lands forever. Usually it was with having Seal of Cleansing and Tide on the battlefield at the same time. You hold priority and target 5 of their lands to exile, and then you remove the Parallax Tide, either with the Trade Wind Rider or Seal of Cleansing, and then the Tide leaves the battlefield, puts the trigger on the stack to return all the lands, but all the lands are still there, and then the 5 triggers to exile 5 lands go, and then your opponent cries. We have Replenish to do it all over again, and we can do the same thing with Wave to exile creatures. Super sweet deck, lots of fun. Unfortunately, I didn't get the Opalescence combo, like I said, but I still had a really good time with it, and was reasonably happy to get a 2-1 out of it. Big recommend for this cube. If you ever get the chance to draft it, do it, especially if you have been playing Magic since they had old borders. Then you get a big nostalgia hit too. Moving on, this was another sweet cube. This is day 2. This is going to be day 2. This is the Ikoria at home cube. Do I have a deck pick? I don't. Spoiler alert. In the Ikoria at home cube, it's Ikoria, but with like other cards added to support the type of archetypes that are in Ikoria. Like you can see Chainer here for like the discard cycling deck. If you look at all these cards, a lot of them have a lot of things in common. For me, it was a lot of discarding and cycling. Like I got Drake Haven for discarding, Riel for discarding, Gavi, all discarding or cycling. And I love this deck. It was super fun. I love cycling decks, and I love the cycling decks in Ikoria. Obviously, I don't have the Zenith Flare, but that's okay. I didn't need it. I 3-0'd this cube, and I had a fucking blast doing it. I made a Jeskai control deck that won by cycling, either with usually with Drakehaven or Narset or I guess just like tokens, but mostly I won with Dinosaurs and Spaceships. That card's messed up and probably doesn't belong in an Ikoria home cube. But if you're not familiar with Dinosaurs and Spaceship, it's like 5 mana to suspend it. Every time you remove a time counter, you make a 2/2 flying haste dinosaur. And then it itself is like a 7/7 that gives all 7/7 vigilance and gives all other dinosaurs +1/+1 and vigilance and haste. And yeah, that card slaps. I was disappointed not to get the Astral Drift, because that would have made so much more fun, but we didn't need it. As you can see here, we win and we get to alter another card. In this cube, if you 3-0, 6-0, which we did, you get to sign the Honey Mammoth in the cube. So that was cool. I did that. As you can see, there's only 1, 2, 3 other people that four other signatures that ever did it. I love adding my mark, like leaving my mark on cubes, whether it be like cards add or actually signing. It's really cool. Super fun cube. In the finals, we play against the other cycling deck, and they were actually companioning Zerda. They had that much cycling, and they did have the Astral Drift. They also had Impending Seas, and they had Supreme Verdict and Don't Move, like a couple of board wipes. In fact, in game 2, they played Don't Move to wipe a lot of my stuff, but then but the dinosaurs on the spaceship was on 1. So if you're familiar with Don't Move, it is like a 5 mana sorcery. It destroys all tapped creatures, and then until your next turn, it destroys all creatures that would become tapped. So they played Don't Move, and then dinosaurs on the spaceship went down to 0, made a token, entered the battlefield, and then it gives vigilance, and it itself has vigilance, so I just went, plant. And that's how I won the finals. Mostly on the back of Dinosaurs on the Spaceship, but also I controlled their biggest payoffs. Mitigated Zenith Flare as best I could, because, yeah, they had that too. Why wouldn't they? And we got there, so that was really fun. Also, in this cube, companions are played as written. So no companion attacks. We did not have a companion, and we didn't need one. Moving on, we have the last cube of the main event that is before the top 128. This cube is Lost in the Sauce. This is like a legacy cube that kind of just gives you a lot of avenues for doing cool stuff. Like this one, I was really happy to get to play this archetype. I don't think I've ever played this archetype before in Cube. I definitely never had Insidious Roots, Tortured Existence, which is a really nice combo. Not an infinite combo, but just a really nice combo. We also have Birthing Pod, and we have some combos with Birthing Pod here. Most notably, we do have an infinite damage persist combo with like Carrion Feeder, Metallic Mimic, and Red Cap, which I did kill someone on turn 4 with. Not even with Pod, just Carrion Feeder, Mimic, turn 4, you're dead. We also have Grist here. A pretty good pod chain here, and then we have some dredge creatures here and like a living death. This deck was pretty fun, but I got beaten down pretty bad. Like I did get stormed out. Like my last opponent had Breach, they had Brain Freeze, they did not have LED. Somebody actually hate drafted LED at the table. But they had Lotus Petal, which was good enough to kill me in 2 out of 3 games after I comboed them on turn 4 in game 1. I also had a loss to a Psychic Frog, a Traxxas Reanimator deck. That was a beating. This deck did not have that much interaction, and you don't really have that much instant speed interaction when you're playing like a pod deck. I don't really have much to hate out that kind of stuff, but and the mana was a little bit sketchy. Like we have all these non-basics, but still somehow we didn't get double black much. Like if you actually look at all these non-basics, not that many are black. There's like Windswept Teeth, Rainforest for just Overgrown Tomb, and also Marsh Flats. So I have 3 fetches to get 1 black dual. There was a Godless Shrine I could have gotten during the draft, which would have made my mana a whole bunch better. But that was like pack 1 before I even knew I was going to be white at all. So anyways, had a lot of fun doing silly combo things. Never got the Ephemerate Eternal Witness combo going, but that would have been fun. But even if we did, like, we didn't have that much like cheap stuff to get back with the combo. There's like Infernal Grasp. That's like our one piece of non-creature, like one piece of creature removal that isn't a creature. I guess all we have is Red Cat. I mean, Crist. Anyways, so that was my last draft. The record was good enough to get me in the top 128. So there was one more draft on Saturday, the top 128 draft. And in the top 128 draft, I just excluded all the desert cubes because I haven't done one yet and I don't really want to learn yet. I don't want to try and learn it in top 128, so I'm just not going to do any desert cubes. If you're not familiar with desert cubes, they are cubes where you have to draft all of your lands. You do not get any basic lands at the end, so I did not want to have to figure out when to take them, so I didn't. I just included all those cubes, and then I got put into this cube. This is the good old days old bordered cube. So this is another old border cube. This one is a lot lower power level, and no, I don't think there's any foils. And the kind of archetypes that are there are just really old school archetypes. For example, I played against a Psychotog Upheaval deck. I played against Stormbind Genesis deck, and I played against classic blue-white control deck with buyback spells like Capsize and Whispers of the Muse. In top 128, it's double elimination basically, so you have to go 2-1 or better to make top 64, and we did. Black felt super open in the draft. I just kept taking black cards, fill in the gaps with red cards. Red was pretty open too. Like there's some like red aggro cards that you don't see. But I ended up playing like very mid-range / reanimator deck. I've got Necromancy, Diabolic Servitude, Zombify to get back Visara, Scion of Darkness, Plague Ward, Lightstalker, and I have the Blazing Spectre. That's what the creator of the cube named Black Red, the archetype, as Blazing Spectre, which is interesting. It's a good card. It's 2/2 flying haste that makes him discard a card when it connects. It was a good card. Also, good card. I mean, I have lots of great removal here. Fire Covenant, which is amazing. Rolling Thunder, Earthquake, Terminate, Terror, Snuff Out, Ghastly Demise, Lightning Bolt. Lots of removal, lots of 2-for-1s, and like creatures would be down. So I did end up going 2-1, but it came down. I came down to a sweat. Like we barely lost in extra turns to Psychotog Upheaval in match 1, and match 2 played against blue white, and I actually ran them out of threats. That's how I ended up winning the game. Their like most sticky threats were at the bottom, and in the bottom 3, so that's unfortunate for them. They had pretty good answers for my stuff, but I kind of just ended the game with a handful of removal spells and them decking themselves. Super grindy, super grindy games, but a lot of fun. I love those kind of games. And then again, match 3, I played against the Stormbind Genesis deck, and game 1 they owned me with Stormbind and Genesis, and then game 2 I mulled to 3, and I ended up actually like killing all their threats because they didn't have Stormbind. What am I supposed to? I'm playing black red when I'm supposed to do about a fucking Stormbind. Like black red old order, just no answers to enchantment ever. They didn't have it, and I ended up just like slamming my threats, and they're playing red green splash black, so there's like no way for them to kill my big black threats. Speaking of, like black threats were really sticky in this cube because back then, unless you had like Terminate, you're just not killing black cards. Like Snuff Out, Ghastly Demise, Terror, those don't kill any black creatures. I ended up cutting most of those against the Psychotog deck. It just didn't do anything. Those can't target non-black creatures. Anyway, So clutched it out in that mold of 5, and then won game 3. Luckily as well. I ended up boarding in White and Vindicate to deal with Stormbind, but I ended up needing to. Yeah, that was that. And I was really happy to make top 64 and come back again tomorrow. And then when I arrived back on Sunday, top 64, it was actually the cube that it put me in was actually the feature cube, which was really cool. So here I am at the feature match table. There's me, of course. And then there's JBro, RIP JBro, and Luis Salvato. More on JBro later. So this is the Pro Tour cube. This is my favorite cube of the weekend because I got to do something nobody else has done yet in that cube. I love breaking cubes. And a lot of other people loved what I did with this cube too. This deck was like incredible. In this cube, if you draft, there's all 3 of the. Okay, so in this cube, the only cards in this cube are cards that have 1 Pro Tours in constructed decks. There's 1 of each Tron land, as you can see here, along with my first pick here, Walking Ballista. There's 1 of each Tron land, and when you draft 1, you get the other 2. I drafted all 3 copies. So I had 9 Tron lands in my 40 card deck, which is just about the same as having 12, the full playset, in 60. So that's insane. And I actually started off with that ballista, and I started taking like green cards. I thought it was gonna be like green Tron. I got my first Tron piece like pick 5 or something. I think Luis Salvato opened it on coverage, and then and I also picked up a Karn in pack 1, and I picked up, let's see, Beanstalk, Fintorn Elves, I think Platinum Angel. I also picked up Clarion Academy, like pick 7, which was insane, I thought. I hadn't looked at the actual list before this draft, which I would have if I wasn't like at the coverage table, and they were like, no phones. And they're like, okay, we're just gonna get started. And I'm like, all right, whatever, let's just fucking do this. Top 64, no big deal. I thought it was gonna be green, and then at the end of pack 2, I picked up like some random blue cards. I think I had picked up like a super late. Picked up like a late mastery, maybe the Rift. Before the end of pack 2, and then the very last pick of pack 2 was a time spiral, and I'm like, wait a minute, I have this academy, I have all these Tron lands. What if instead of being green Tron, I was blue Tron? So most of my green cards were like double green, or I had Ancient Stirrings also in pack 1. Most of my green cards were like double green, or like cheap mana acceleration, but like, why? I don't need cheap mana acceleration if I just go Tron land, 7 drop on turn 3. So I'm just like, fuck it, I'll go. Maybe I'll be blue. And then in pack 3, I picked up, like, I think I first picked the One Ring in pack 3, and then I picked up Upheaval. And I'm like, oh, I've got this Temporal Mastery, this Time Spiral, and this Upheaval. I don't remember when I got the Cyclonic Rift. And I think I got the Mold Drifter in pack 2, but I don't remember entirely sure. But the deck, I was a little bit short on playables, as you can probably count, just playing mono blue Tron. But the deck was super sweet. Super, super sweet. It was like Twitter's favorite deck of the weekend, Ethan Sack's favorite deck of the weekend on coverage. Super cool deck. Loved it so much. Never played a deck like it before in Cube. Like I've played decks in a Cube where like you draft 1 Cloud Post, you get 3 more, but this is different. Even with Cloud Post, you don't get 7 mana on turn 3. So that's what I did. I don't have that many big threats, but it didn't really matter against most of my opponents. Deck was super, super consistent, and the top and the scroll rack actually helped a lot with that, and they helped with the mastery as well, as you can see. Oh, what? Spoiler alert. Oh, okay. All right, here you can see these are screenshots from my coverage matches. This is my first match. Just Tron on turn 3. Right here. Turn 3 Tron. Whoa. What? Whatever. Here's turn 3 Tron again. That's turn 3 Platinum Angel. This one got countered against JBro. This is match 2. This is not turn 3 Tron, but this is turn... This is just... This is a slow Tron. Turn 6 Tron, but this is slamming Ugin. Is that what this is? I think it is. Oh, it's not really turn 6, so you took an extra turn with the mastery. This was a mastery turn, I think. There's turn 3 Tron against mono white. Yeah. Oh, this is my turn 3 Tron, game 1 on a Moldifor. When I said this deck was consistent, I was not kidding. I was mulliganing aggressively to get Tron on turn 3, just like they do in Modern, or used to do. I don't know that much about Modern. Anyways, yeah, this was turn 3 Tron, turn 4 Ugin, and that Moldifor was actually one of my easier games in this draft. Okay, let's go back to yeah. So as you saw, probably saw there's 3 matches on coverage there, and one of them was against the late JBro, Jonathan Brostoff. I wanted to take a moment to mention that. Went 2-0. We're in the top 16, playing for top 8. JBro was one of the... Well, he's a huge member of the Cube community. He's a great streamer. Does Cube for charity event every year, but he also... Without JBro, CubeCon wouldn't exist. He's one of the founding members of CubeCon, and he's one of the most enthusiastic people about Cube that you'll ever meet. Also, one of the nicest people you ever meet. I didn't meet him until this draft, and even though I beat him and I knocked him out of top 8 of his own event, he was just super, super gracious. Opposite of a sore loser. He shook my hand. He was really happy for me. And he was even more happy for me when he was like handing me my prizes. I regret that I didn't get to know him more before this, and now I never will, because when I said R.I.P. JBro, I mean it. Last week he took his own life, and he left behind a family of 4 kids and a wife. So never knew him that well, but still, like, every life is precious, and especially anyone who's that passionate about Cube, it's definitely going to be missed. Good friend of mine is friends with him, and a lot of other people that I know are also friends with them. So if you knew JBro, my heart goes out to you, and he was a really special guy. My match against JBro was really hard. He had about as many counter spells as I had threats, and he also had Force of Will. So even when he was tapped out, my threats weren't safe to resolve. I had to feel like I did not play the best that I could. There were little mistakes that I made, but I'm still playing out of my mind. And most games came down to Ulamog because that's the only card that I have that can do something even when it doesn't resolve. But this deck was amazing. I played like a dream. The biggest threat to me was like my own One Ring. A lot of games came down to answering my One Ring before it consumed me. And that was the biggest danger to my own health. Was my One Ring. But yeah, super cool deck, super fun, and got me into the top 8. Yes, here I am. I'm in seat 1 here. You can see, you probably don't recognize any of these names except for this one, Pro Tour champion Tom Martell. Yes, Tom Martell came to CubeCon this one time, and he made top 8 just like me. So congratulations to Tom Martell. I did just as well as he did at this event, and I feel awesome about that. Here he is at the top 8 table, big smile. My best attempt to doing a Joe selfie super fast before we started. And here is my top 8 deck. In the top 8, I drafted... Whoa. Okay, whatever. In the top 8, I started off with an incredible pack. My pack 1 pick 1 was just amazing. It had Mana Crypt, Tolarian Academy, Mox Emerald, and Flash. It's like, holy crap, someone's going to get a pick for Academy / or Flash. I took the Mana Crypt, and I passed the rest of it to my left. The person next to me took Emerald, as I would find out later. Took the Mana Crypt, and then I think I took a Wheel Fortune and a Time Twister in that pack. So I was really, really looking for anything that would punish draw 7s, and we, as you can see here, we never found one, which was a big bummer. I was trying to be like a Storm deck. I have Breach, and there's a Brain Freeze. I picked up Lelia in pack 1, so I'm like, oh man, you better just do something with aggro, but aggressive creatures weren't really flowing either. So I ended up doing some Stormy stuff. I think this deck was 1 LED away from being amazing. It's also could have been a really good Reanimator deck. If I had a permanent reanimation, which I don't. Like, I could shell dock a fatty, but the only ways I have to like put a fatty out are, besides that, are Sneak Attack and Shallow Grave, which was kind of a bummer. There were some weird packs in like pack 2 and 3 where there's like a fatty and a reanimation spell, and I take one, the other one doesn't come back. Like I took a Traxa. I took a Traxa over Reanimate because that was my first fatty, I think. Besides maybe Emrakul, I don't remember. Unfortunately, the Mana Crypt is the only piece of power that we ever saw. We didn't really see many. We also didn't really see many untapped lands in the Griskus colors. We had a lot. Our mana was okay, but we were playing a lot of tap lands, and we're mostly playing trying to play a fair game. We don't have that much interaction. We're just kind of trying to win by sneaking out something spooky, or possibly storming with Breach Freeze, although that's a lot harder without LED. So it's not the best Storm deck. It's not the best Not the best Storm deck. Not really the best Corpse Stand Shallow Grave deck. We do have Emrakul and Atraxa Gristlebrand, which is nice. And then we have Sneak Attack, Shallow Grave, Corpse Stance. But those don't really win the game on their own. I have this 4th Earlingus that I picked up, but I didn't end up with enough white fixing to want to play it. Oh, there's the Atraxa. What is this? This must be the Brain Freeze. Yeah, it's probably Brain Freeze. So in the top 8, we played against this deck in round 1. He's the person who got the Academy. Pick 3, I think. I think it was pick 3 because he said he still had the... Oh, wait, hang on. Was it pick 3? It was him. And I was sitting in seat number 1. And he was seat number 7. Right? No. He was seat 5. He got the Academy 5th pick? Oh my god. What the That's crazy. I don't remember what else was in that pack. Like, I could see taking Flash over Academy. Obviously, Emerald and Crypt, but I don't think there's anything else that should have gone before Academy in that pack. Alright, so we got the 5th pick Academy, and it was really, really good for him. As you can see, he has Soaring, he has Max Ruby, he has a lot of artifacts, he has Basalt Monolith and Gadgeteer combo. And that's kind of how he won every game. Just Gadgeteer, Time Spiral, Upheaval, One Ring. Kind of actually similar to Big Mana, Time Spiral, Upheaval, One Ring as my top 64 deck. This was... I think it was a winnable matchup. And that probably is going to give away a lot. I did not win this game. Did not win these games. There was a point in game 2. I think I would have won had I made a slightly different attack. My opponent had a One Ring that was on like 3, I think, and they were at like it was at 3 or 4, and they were at like 11. And I played Lelia and I attacked them. But they had a Teferi Time Raveler on the board on 2. And I'm like, oh, if it's on 2, it doesn't really do anything. That's fine. I'll attack them. The One Ring will put them on a clock. Couple turns later, they had upheavaled and reset the ring and replayed Teferi, I think. And I ended up in the spot where... No, they didn't upheaval. They Odawared their ring. That's what they did. They Odawared their ring and they recast it. And they had Teferi still in play. I could have brain freeze them out if they didn't have... They also, on that same turn, they went infinite. They made infinite tokens with Retrofitter, Gadgeteer, Monolith. But I could have won with Brain Freeze had I killed the Teferi, because they didn't have that many cards left in their deck. They could either... I'm going to die next turn no matter what. However, they have protection from everything for the ring, and they have the Teferi passive. If they don't have both of those things, I win with Brain Freeze. I have enough instants to storm off on their upkeep if they don't have Teferi. If they don't have protect from everything, obviously I kill them. But because I made that attack and I didn't kill Teferi when I could, and tried to put them on a clock on against the ring and the Lelia, I ended up losing that game and the match. I don't remember that much about game one. I don't feel like I made any mistakes in game one that cost me the game. They just had a really fast start with Academy and went infinite pretty fast. They even they took a hit from a sneak attack Atraxa, and then they made like infinite tokens and killed me. And that was it. It was my CubeCon. Ended in the top 8. Here's me collecting my prizes, getting a picture. JBro is like, give me your phone. I'm going to take a picture of you getting your prizes. He gave me a Sprecker's root beer. And that's a complete set of OTJ. Those are my physical prizes for top 8ing. I also got many digital things, like a whole bunch of play points on Magic Online as well. But I wouldn't get those until later. And then after the event, I wasn't done cubing. I ate dinner and I went over to my friend's hotel to play with a bunch of people that were playing there, including the hosts of Lucky Paper Radio were playing there. I watched the Turbo Cube happen. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play because they didn't fire it back. I was just birding and like offering lines, and I do want to draft that cube one day. Probably not in a main event. I was hoping this would be my chance to draft it casually, but was not to be this time. It looked really fun. Games were pretty complicated and unfair, just like I thought they would be. And I had fun just like offering lines and telling Anthony how I could do better. Like every single game, every single turn. Like, hey, Anthony, you want some feedback about that turn? He's like, God damn it, Brandon, I could have won that turn. I'm like, yeah, you could have. Mirage Mirror's really complicated and weird in this cube because everything. And if you're not familiar with the Turbo Cube, there's everyone starts with an emblem where activated abilities and spells cost 2 less. So Mirage Mirror gets really fucking complicated because you can just stack Mirage Mirror activations to copy whatever you want. As long as you stack it all up before it resolves, you can copy anything any number of times. So definitely want to draft that cube one day. But this was counters a Monte Cristo cube, which was pretty fun. I didn't get to finish the draft because a lot of people got tired or lost interest. I drafted a blue-black deck. I wish I took more proliferate. I did not value proliferate as high as I should have. It seems should be very valuable in a cube like this. And I thought I would get more, but I didn't. But that's okay. Mostly we're a +1/+1 counter modular deck. We got Arcbound, Arcbound. And then we have Soul Diviner. We have Barik, or whatever the Assassin's Creed guy is, which is probably too good for the cube. And then Triskelion, Prodigy. Garden Bastion was awesome. Like I said, anything that proliferates in this cube is really cool. It's a counters cube, so should have drafted it like it was a proliferate cube, but I only got 3 ways that it's not Garden Bastion in a cube to proliferate. That was fun though. Like ripping counters off to draw cards, moving counters to kill creatures, and kind of like controlling the game or just snowballing them out. I had a lot of fun in the matches that I played. Got kind of owned by the Nuts Red White deck. in round 1 though. Played by a friend and very good cuber, Kale, and won round 2 very easily against maybe not that. I mean, they're like green white, but their deck just didn't seem that strong at all. Like, I don't think they drafted well, and it was late after a long weekend of cubing, so I don't really blame them at all. And that was my CubeCon experience. I love this event because I love Cube. Cube is so awesome. I love that I've top 8'd both of the like big Cube events that I've done this season. And even though I didn't get past the like 64 player qualifiers on Magic Online to make it to Cube Worlds, I like not doing that didn't feel very good for me. Like, I tried so hard to qualify for Cube Worlds and I just couldn't get there. That was a huge letdown, but like top 8 at CubeCon and doing as well as Tom Martell, who, spoiler, also lost in the quarterfinals. Vindicated me. Like, yeah, I know I'm good at Cube. I don't know why why I was so down in the dumps about the Cube Worlds thing. I mean, I really wanted to do it. It would have been a really cool event to be a part of. But it was not meant to be, but CubeCon top 8 was. So, for anyone who didn't think I was good at CubeCon, or anyone who doesn't think I'm good at Cube, now I have this top 8 mat to show for it. And I got all these cool signatures on it. And I also have JBros and 2 other like important staff members that mean a lot to CubeCon right here on the Cube. So, rest in peace, JBro. I think I'll do what a lot of other content creators have done and put JBro's there's a GoFundMe for JBro's family. I'll put a link for that in the description, as well as all of the cubes that I can find on Cube Cobra, so you can check out those cubes for yourself. Everything that I did, all the cubes that I did was super fun. I mean, it's Cube. Cube is awesome. Cube is life. So I hope you check that out. Any of the cubes that you're interested in, and maybe learn a little bit more, because some of these cubes are, well, most of these cubes are very different from the Magic Online cube, except for the top 8 cube, which I did not mention is the Magic Online cube. Yeah, I hope you check them out, and I hope you keep supporting the channel. If you like this kind of content, or you like what I do, please consider subscribing, following on Twitch, liking and commenting and all that stuff. I love to see feedback and more subscribers. We are doing a giveaway of a booster box when we get to 150 subscribers. We are already at 100, a bit more than that actually. So we get there, we'll do a booster box giveaway. And also, just like all my other videos, I'm gonna put a secret hashtag, and we're gonna put a secret hashtag on this video as well. Use that secret hashtag and you can win that's how you enter to win the booster box, is once per video with the secret hashtag. Leave a comment with your feedback, and if you're subscribed, you will be entered to win, and I'll write a witty comment and thank you for your support and all that. And today's secret hashtag is bless up, as JBro used to say. Bless up, homies, and check in on your friends, even if you think they're that holly jolliest person. They might be going through a rough time, and they might need you to keep them in this world. As always, I love you all. If anyone is struggling with thoughts of depression and suicide, I'll do my best to help you. If I know you, even if I don't know you, I'll still do my best to try and make life worth living for, or at least convince you that it is. Thank you all. You're all awesome. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Foundations videos soon. So that'll be exciting. Hope to put up some of those as soon as I get my hands on the set. I did a pre-release this weekend, and anyways, I'm rambling. I'll let you all go. Thank you all for watching. You're all awesome, and hope you have a good life. Ta-ta for now.